with dogs by doing that with Lincoln. And literally within a year of just treating him like a child and giving him physical protection, I am a huge, huge, huge proponent of physical affection. And I detail in the book something called a reset hug, which I do with my human predatory giants. And that aspect became translated and scaled across all the entire species of dog, of canine, whatever you want to call it.
Leaders Talk, Season 2.
Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome back. It's your favorite time of the week. It's my favorite time of the week. It's time for Leaders Talk, and as usual, I am your intrepid host, Andrew Dupe, head of communications here at Leaders Brands and host of the Leaders Talk podcast. I mean, I'm going to be the host. I'm the one running it. And with me today is my very special guest, an interesting man by the name of James Tsai. Now, James, let me give you a minute to introduce him because this is what I like to call a Renaissance man. James is the first of his siblings born in Canada. He grew up with a father that was fluent in 17 languages and a mother with a photographic memory. Sibling rivalry inspired James to see the world beyond just the competitive advantage. So from working on calculus by grade 6, better man than me, failing to complete grade 10, dropping out of high school, James ended up thinking of going into business. He opened a niche footwear store on Richard Street in Vancouver, and a year later, he was buying manufacturer for Sunset Strips shoes, try saying that real fast 3 times, in Los Angeles. His next business provided enclosed high-value vehicle transport, Jet Tsai supercar transport. Am I saying that right?
Yes, correct.
During that period, James also began fostering Great Danes. He started his nonprofit Arf Bark Rescue Foundation after successfully rehabilitating dogs who had viciously tried to kill people. James has survived multiple near-death experiences, including nearly drowning and being resuscitated as a child and escaping a violent semi-truck accident in British Columbia. He is the author of The Soul of a Dog, Deconstructing Behavior and the Construct of Consciousness. So, James, despite my issues with alliteration there, English teacher
Beautiful.
talk, that is an interesting CV going into this. Like I say, a little bit of a Renaissance man. Seems you've done a little bit of everything. So, give our audience a little bit of a deeper dive and insight into your past and what drove you to the point you are now.
Well, I want to say one thing when you mentioned Renaissance man. That's extremely flattering. I never thought of myself that way. So really appreciate that. It's very flattering, actually. So my family immigrated from China, and I was the first one born in Canada. So I had the uniqueness of growing up in a family of very intelligent siblings. My youngest brother has a scaled IQ of 166. He completed 4 law degrees by his early 30s. He's a prolific writer with the Toronto Star and other newspapers. Sorry, Toronto Sun. And my oldest brother is still alive. He's extremely intelligent. He's a bit older than me because of 8 family members. It's a wide range of ages. He did double minors of math and was actually the sole technical lead on Sun Microsystems in the early 2000s, national sales team in Canada. So all these things that were happening in my life that I saw my siblings, my brothers, because in a Chinese family, regardless if we lived in China or in anywhere else, the obligation was to perform to really exceed everyone else. We were super duper competitive. And that competition, it's just so weird because to everyone else it says, okay, you guys must have been super competitive and all that stuff. But in reality, we didn't know that. It's just that point of it was just normal. And when we called someone else, and again, I'm going to use a little bit of uncouth language. If we called someone stupid, we could prove they were actually stupid in that sense of, well, your brother is doing this in school, and so you don't say anything. So for me, I thought to myself, well, I'm going to try in school because that's what's making all my siblings really happy, right? That dysfunction was already occurring. And I thought to myself, I'm going to keep trying. And my parents would always ask me questions about life. I remember growing up and I would ask them things like, the universe, infinity, all these really abstract thoughts that I knew and I thought my parents would know the answer to. And at the same time, while my dad was here, My parents were here in Canada. They were struggling to get somewhere. So I saw the struggle, the super duper intelligence that I thought was normal, even though everyone else was saying, not just for our family, but for me, that we were all possessive of this great intelligence while we were still immigrants. My parents were working in the fields. Literally, I remember my mom telling me about picking up 100-pound, like loading up 100-pound potato, like in a bag, like 100 pounds of it, and carrying it herself, 5'4". So all these things always impressed upon me. Just keep doing it. If you're in pain, just keep doing it. Just keep. If you're having stress, just keep doing. It's not that aspect of being a stoic Asian man. It's that point of just do it. Instead of complaining about everything else, just do it. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to keep trying. And I did algebra in grade 5, and then grade 6, I was doing calculus. And then my parents became a bit more capital in their discipline. And so I thought, well, you know what? I'm just going to keep taking it because I'm just going to tire them out eventually. And that was happening. And eventually, by the time I hit grade 10, I was failing grades. I dropped out. My parents were extremely disappointed in me. They never kicked me out. They did kind of say, you got to find somewhere to live here for a week or two or whatever. Yeah. But they were, they still let me live at home, which is an incredible thing because if I was homeless, I would not be where I am, to be honest with you. And I think that's an important support that we need here socially. But my parents still pushed me and still pushed me. And I had a really negative encounter with a German Shepherd when I was 5 years old that I thought I was going to be eaten by a German Shepherd. And this was in school, to what then came to the point where I was afraid of dogs till I was in my early 20s. Even when I met somebody and I thought she was really nice and she had a nice dog, I'm like, I can't go out with you because I'm afraid of your dog. Like I would not say that. Like all these things were making me afraid. And I almost drowned as a kid as well. And I had to be resuscitated, and that was really hard. I couldn't put my head underwater till I was like 13 years of age, like the shower. So there's that. But all of that kind of focused me onto the point of getting to business to prove to my parents that I could be successful. And so I thought I would start a business, which was to sell shoes. And I had a house at the time. My parents helped me get the house. They gave me, myself and my wife, a deposit. And we're divorced, obviously. But so I started a shoe store business, and I wanted to find something that had a really nice profit margin, which was, to be honest with you, I got involved in a niche community where we helped the more marginalized community, and we worked with people who provided escort services and so forth like that. So we had access to a lot of interesting things. And for me, the whole time was, well, I still want to maintain a business. I still want to maintain my ethical structure and my morality, even though I'm dealing with a highly, highly enticing environment. So I was quite sincere in my relationship. Unfortunately, anyways. So what ended up happening is the business I ended up buying out, it was called Hypatia Shoes, which is actually a people who know math will know that name.
Yeah.
And we'll get so okay. So Hypatia Shoes, and after a year, we were grossing $30,000 a year. I'm sorry, $30,000 a month. So we're grossing a lot of money. Yeah. And I thought, I'll just buy out the manufacturer. And there's a guy here. I've got no education. I tried to get my grade 12 twice and failed. And here I'm going, I'm making $30,000 a month now on one store. I might as well go and buy the factory because he was talking about retiring years ago. And I thought, maybe I'll go in and buy out Sunset Strip Shoes, which is what I did. So I ended up buying that business, running it for a while. And unfortunately, a lot of things were happening with our marriage. And eventually I ended up losing that. So we were almost bankrupt. My parents taught me you never get divorced. Right? Never, ever get divorced. Never. Like I would see my parents, they were just like, like those two plastic robots, right? They're just like boom, 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 boom in their heads. And so, it was very tough. And so the thing that I had to do as the breadwinner, because I was always breadwinning the whole time, as the breadwinner, I had to save my family. We could not be living on the street. I knew that fortune that I had as a teenager. So not to be kicked out of my family. So I thought, and it would ruin my children's lives. I have two daughters. One is
time to give back, right? Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. And one of them has cerebral palsy. So I thought, okay, I have to make the business. So I did a mortgage. I actually ended up getting a third mortgage on my business, bought a truck and trailer that was used from the East Coast of the United States, drove it back to Canada, And I just started Jet Say Transport, and then it became Jet Say Supercar Transport because I was able to edge out some of my competitors in the luxury business. And in 10 years of operation from 2007, September to 2017, yeah, September as well, we moved $1 billion worth of vehicles in that time. And in a
Wow.
market, yeah. So, and we moved it for car dealers and private persons. So that amount of volume, we were uh, authorized to move Bugatti, Rolls Royce. So we were in an exclusive closed bidding group called BTI. It's just some really phenomenal things. We contracted for
Right.
Plycar, which is they delivered the first Tesla to David Letterman's show. I remember that as a kid, so that's why I was like, oh my gosh. And we were the primary provider of transport. So the first phone call would always come to Jet Say Transport from Tesla in Vancouver, and then we ended up doing Tesla Calgary. And in the early 2010s, Fernando Hugh from Tesla flew up here and basically said, "We'll give you an LOI if you want to take over Western Canada regionalization for transport."
Right.
And
Well,
at that
you know,
time,
how did this move on from this to? I mean, so you say that you had a fear of dogs and things, and you obviously became very successful doing this. But we're looking a little bit at the book here about Soul of the Dog. What brought you into the world of fostering and becoming working in rescue?
so the marriage, that's literally what it is. So everything was failing. The business was going down. I did not have a background in business. I did not know how to create a support system. I was completely that Renaissance guy again, every business.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I mean,
I,
as I say, from shoes to cars to
yeah.
calculus. I mean, that I think the name definitely applies on that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I have been tested when I was in my early 20s quite extensively through a battery of psych and other kind of tests, and I scale quite high. I scale highest in my family actually, so that's kind of a tough thing. And I don't know, anyone who has profound intelligence has been taught you cannot express it. But I thought, well, I'm going to express it in just getting divorced from my wife, right? All these things I've been working on, all this intelligence, all the stuff, all these things that I've worked on to do everything, I said, forget it. And I just ended up letting the business wither
Mm, right.
because she was still living at home and her partner had moved into the family home. And so what that difficulty made it was very difficult, very difficult to kind of separate things. So the only way was to stop the business. So that's why it ended successfully. It ended after 10 years. We were grossing $600,000 a year, an asset, each truck, 600 grand. Yeah.
Right.
So I guess my feelings were hurt, to be honest with you. My feelings had been hurt. So basically, I was dating again, and essentially, long story short, I was going out with someone for about 2 years. She had a severely autistic child, like, very much on the spectrum, very, very, very violent. But at the during the relationship, she had adopted a Great Dane, and I was in love with Great Danes. And so
Mm,
we ended up breaking up. But what ended up happening is I ended up adopting a Great Dane because of her, because of my association with her Dane, who was really loving and everything. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to start adopting a dog instead of buying a dog because I wanted to, rescue. So I adopted Lincoln, who's in the book. He's the first one in the book. And basically, Lincoln is 154 pounds, around 32 inches at his shoulders. He had had a controversial past. So basically, when he was about 4 months of age, he caught a baby squirrel, killed that baby squirrel, and then would not let the family have the body for 45 minutes. So in
mm,
situations like that, that's where a trainer would say, that's it, you're done, right? Because that's
right.
prey drive or predation. But the family kept him and kept him and kept him and put him in boarding, and they could afford it. They had a TV show, so they were doing all these really cool things to be able to help Lincoln survive. Worst came to worst, they would just leave him in boarding for 6 months or longer. I
Mm,
adopted him at 5.5 years of age. The family drove him over here. I had no idea. Like, I had no idea. But when I started to walk Lincoln, he would lunge at people, and he would lunge
mm,
at other dogs, and he would lunge at people wearing turbans. He would lunge at everything. And I was working out, so I was pretty strong at the time. But he was yanking me on the ground, like he would be pulling me, and I'd be scared. I'd be screaming, stop, stop. People would yell at me and swear at me, and they said, "You gotta effing kill your dog." Like, they weren't just saying euthanize them. They were like, "Yeah," rah, rah. And I was like, "What am I gonna
yeah.
do?" And this is the first couple of weeks, so I was phoning around
That's usually
breeders.
the default thing that people go to is, when when that happens, there's so much that we almost learn that you should put them down at that point. That's
Right.
where people almost immediately go to. They don't think about the middle and trying to come up with a solution to solve it. Yeah.
I just maintained that loyalty I knew in regards to the familial structure that my family
Yeah.
did because
Yeah.
they didn't kick me out as well. And because my parents said, go, go, go. Right. So that's that
Right.
whole
So
aspect. And when I phoned
you
around
resolved to
breeders,
fix it. Yeah.
no, go ahead.
No, I say you resolved to fix it. You resolved
Yeah.
to do like you've said before and to actually address the problem and go for it. Yeah.
I would phone breeders, Great Dane rescue groups, general dog groups, trainers, everything. Everyone said basically the same envelope of, do this, do that, food, whatever, corrective collars, prong collars, all that stuff. And I thought, no, I'm not going to do any of those things because obviously it didn't work because this is why Lincoln is here with me. So I thought what I will do then is treat him like a child.
Mm.
And then I then started to, and of course, because my brain is always working, trying to figure out things in a more abstract structure, it was great because I was able to notice the physical behavior that Lincoln was manifesting, which was psychosomatic. Because when we watch somebody standing, we can tell if they're nervous or not. And I talk about this in the book. We can tell if the person's nervous because they're standing kind of like this, right? Or you can see them at a meeting, right? The guy who shakes his knee underneath the meeting, you're like, hey, man, it's okay. You don't have to be nervous. And he's like, oh, I'm not nervous. And you can feel the floor shaking.
Mm-hmm.
So that meant that if Lincoln was having these manifestations, it had to be predicated, if not founded upon psychological dysfunction, not the trained yes or no thing, the dog is this or the dog is that. It was he had to think about these emotions that he couldn't understand. And because he
Right.
doesn't speak dog, I didn't speak dog. You know what? So then it was that situation where it was, then I would just try to figure out what his physical was relative to his comprehension of his circumstance in an intellectual and cogent manner. So that's how I got into working with dogs by doing that with Lincoln. And literally within a year of just treating him like a child and giving him physical protection, I am a huge, huge, huge proponent of physical affection. And I detail in the book something called a reset hug, which I do with my human predatory giants. And that aspect became translated and scaled across all the entire species of dog, of canine, whatever you want to call it. It's all applicable to all of them, which is just to give them a hug. And so what I ended up doing is when Lincoln, uh, he ended up becoming paraplegic, and within a few months, I had to say goodbye, and it was unbelievably painful.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always difficult.
Yeah. So what ended up happening is I thought I'm never going to get another dog again. Never ever. I was going out with somebody. She was like, I can't do this again. And I thought, well, I've got to tribute him. I've got to tribute Lincoln's life. He taught me so much. He was
Yeah.
in that transition period. Like the thing that we all talk about, oh, my dog or my son or my mom, I'm going to tribute them. I'm going to tribute them. And I thought, well, what am I going to do to tribute Lincoln? And I thought, well, I can never have another dog again. It just hurts so much. And I went, wait a minute, I'm so selfish. And
Right.
I'm
Yeah. You
going to
have to
go.
think about the other animals that need help in that situation.
So I ended up looking for an old Great Dane because I knew, well, if the old Great Dane dies in a year, I knew he's old. So I'm not going to be surprised. And my heart I couldn't handle that. I can't handle saying goodbye. Right. And so, what ended up happening is I thought, well, I'm going to look for a dangerous senior Great Dane, and that was Nero. And it turned out he was in south part of Alabama or somewhere, and he was 7 years old. Oh, sorry, for the first 7 years of his life, he was caged for breeding, and then the next 3 years, he was with a family that kept him outdoors on a prong collar, on a chain in Alabama. He lived on the porch.
Mhm.
So he obviously had quite a bit of antisocial behavior. And at 10 years of age, because he had to be chipped because he had some incidences prior to. So he was dumped at the shelter for about weighing 75 pounds, should be 140 pounds. When he was at
Mhm.
the Fosters, and this is the largest Great Dane rescue in North America, when he was at the Foster, he would try to attack people who came to visit him, like men that came. They would come to the fence to look at Nero to adopt him.
Right. Yeah.
He'd wait, walk around, grab him, pull him in. And then Nero ended up pulling about a 250-pound woman off the couch in the family home. It was a family member visiting from school, pulled her onto the floor, and then started attacking her. And when an individual attacks, it's different if they're attacking you on the couch versus on the floor. So there's a level of cogency under that predation. So he was attacking her on the floor, and then they sent me photos and said, "Do you want to adopt him?" And I went, "Yeah." So a lot of things have happened. He once got me by the top of the head with his jaw and got both temples at the same time. They bled a little bit. I was like, oh, great. Like I'm seeing.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
what inspired you then to kind of take all of this and put it into a book? And what do you want your audience, well, before they pick up the book, as they're thinking about getting it, what kind of do you want them to know about it before going into it, or what you expect them to kind of get out of it?
I My work is empirical in the sense that it's applied to all dogs. So the one after
Well,
Nero that I adopted was Walter. He's 16 attacks on people, 183 pounds, 38 inches of shoulders. I found that my protocols worked with him. Well, yeah. Like Great Danes were used to hunt and kill wild boar.
right. Yeah, I know. They're
Mission.
gigantic.
So aspects of breed, I thought, well, I'm going to go work with the most dangerous dogs, the biggest size that you can possibly get. And does that work also translate to the other parts of the breeds that are out there? I found consistently absolutely 100, including dogs with Dandy Walker's syndrome, mild spasticity in their behavior, kind of like a cerebral palsy type aspect. There's in my book, it shows Gordon, the disabled bulldog. You'll be able to see that. It just completely blows away behaviorism, completely dismantles the aspects of veterinary care in the point of dogs with that type of psychological or severe distress are able to be rehabilitated 100%. My work doesn't use any food, no medication, no behaviorism, no R plus, no positive, no nothing at all in academia whatsoever. In actual fact, my work, because I'm able to empirically rehabilitate no matter what, danger, dysfunction, skittish, agoraphobia, everything under the sun, my work is empirical. Therefore, it is profoundly substantial over and above superior to behaviorism, as per John B. Watson in 1930 when he founded this aspect of behaviorism outward. And that whole aspect has unfortunately permeated into more of a materialist predation to our evolution and denigration of our human species. Whereas if we had looked at the point of understanding that dogs, that corresponding scale of physiological, basically extraction from the first cells, Luca, right? Last unified common ancestor. We're all following the same schematic, right? Everything just variegates, divergent, or whatever you call it, into different species also. So we're all coming from the same cells, which means that aspect of consciousness and production, which is detailed in the book, acts as 100% present in the entire range of species. And so when I'm working with dogs, I can work with cats. I can work with horses, though I'm definitely afraid of them. Observations of cougars. In the book, there's empirical evidence of me working with an alpaca that was extremely stressed out. So the whole book says that you are watching history start, where the whole entire disruption of academia occurs forevermore, where my work, familialship, provably dismantles behaviorism, therefore after. This book has made it a point where I am able to literally change human history, as well as all my words that I use in there, neologisms. Those now have become a permanent vernacular within Google AI search and other search engines. My words that are in this book, The Soul of a Dog, Destruction Behavior, and the Construct of Consciousness, they actually appear verbatim in the nonfiction sections of Google AI. When you Google The Soul of a Dog, that's it, nothing else. My book, The Soul of a Dog by Lee, comes first ranking above the other gentleman who wrote that book about Bedlam. So the Princeton, so it's ranking above his in less than 3 weeks. And without being a U.S. national, honestly, this is the dream I never thought I wanted for a high school dropout, honestly.
Yeah.
And you guys know how I gush about. But for a high school dropout to then not only be recognized, and I saw just over the weekend, my book is being put into aggregators for universities.
I love it. I love that we're able to do it for you. I mean,
oh my gosh,
it is such important work too, because again, like I kind of alluded to earlier, we default so much to just not trying with animals. Like and I like that you're bringing this over in the whole construct of consciousness, and that animals, we're animals. Every human being is an animal. Every animal, consciousness is a thing that we don't entirely understand. And I think it's myopic of humans to think that we're the only people that one thing that has it.
Right.
Dogs. I mean, my cat, I guarantee you, my cat has her own consciousness. I can tell.
Yes.
And so I love that we're giving back a little bit. We're being more empathetic, and we're trying to be able to relate that any being with consciousness can be related to.
It is this magic and this incredible feeling, and also
Yeah.
I got to tell you, contextually, intellectually. Oops, sorry, my alarm here is. What I'll say is that contextually and intellectually, my brain has never been more vibrant because now I'm paying attention to the psychosomatic manifestations that are occurring all around me. I'm paying more attention to everything, and my brain is running smoothly. Before it was kind of erratic, going, I'm kind of bored, I'm kind of bored, I'm kind of bored. And now this is what's happening. I have a direction of what I'm going to achieve. I do hope to be able to create franchises with my work because it is literally empirical. It is identifiable. So copyright and trademark is going to be, well, that's James Tsai's work, familialship, because there's nothing in behaviorism that exists. I look forward to the fact that university classes will be carrying my stuff, franchise
I love
opportunities and
it.
training, everything, everything.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
artificial
James,
intelligence.
Well, James, we kind of run down a little bit on time here to wrap things up just for our audience. I mean, maybe there's something we haven't covered, but I like to call it a golden nugget, just a moment where you can kind of address our audience and tell them something that you either want to take away from this interview or the book, or even really just in general, just something to leave them with. What would that be?
Always question.
Hmm.
Always question. It does not matter. Always question. That's it. Period. If you question, it forces you to research. It also
Yeah.
forces you to realize whether or not you're making the wrong fact public or you're making a unfact public. Always question.
I love
Introspective, everything. Always question.
Yeah, I mean, as an educator, somebody that's been worked in history and English, you're the math guy. I'm the book guy. I love that because that is it. You're always quite. That's one of the best golden nuggets we've had here because, and we've had some great ones, no doubt. But that
So
is
much.
because at the
Thank
heart
you.
of everything, the scientific method, the historical method, the very first thing it always is saying is, "I don't know." And when you say "I don't know," go out and answer it. Well,
100%.
James,
Oh my God. Thank you.
how can our audience find out more about you?
So they can check out my LinkedIn profile. So I will be posting things that are going to be relative to my book for sure. My rescue foundation is Arf Arf Bark Bark Rescue. That can be found on Facebook, Threads. I do have a TikTok. I'm going to have to get back onto that. I'm a little too old for that, but I'm going to go on that. And Amazon is carrying The Soul of a Dog, Destruction Behavior, and the Construct of Consciousness, or The Soul of a Dog, and you'll find it pretty well everywhere.
Links are down below, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead and give that a click. I guarantee you, you're not going to be disappointed with this one. James, there's so much for us to cover. I don't think we even really touched the tip of the iceberg. We're probably going to have you back on just for that
Wow.
reason, because I want to
Thank you.
come back and circle back on some of these things and do some deep dives later. But until then, thank you so much for being here. We wish you the best of luck. I think this is really important work, and I think that all of you should check this out.
It's going to be amazing. And I just want to say, if I do get a chance to come back, we'll talk about human safe robots.
I look forward to it. You and I could probably get dangerous if we actually
Oh, it'll
sat
be
down for
fun.
too
It'll be
long.
fun. Amazing.
James, thank you so much. We'll be in touch.
Thank you so much as well, Andrew.